Well, we're less than a week since the game's launch, and we're already seeing plenty of drama time kicking up over on the official forums, but not for lack of merit. There's a lot to be discussed, especially in this video, as it relates to queue timers, as it relates to AFK timers, and more. And so I'm going to share what the devs have wrote, and then we're going to dive into the response that they seem to be getting online. As always, I'd love to know your thoughts, and as always, the links will be in the description if you guys want to go weigh in on the official topics yourself. But without further ado, let's dive in. Let's have some fun with this post. We're gonna here's me emulating a dev.
And so, let's see what we do here. All right, greetings, adventurers. We've seen a lot of frustration around the individuals who may be artificially remaining active through the servers to avoid the automatic AFK timer. But this is built into New World. We can certainly agree that this is not acceptable behavior, especially when there are droves of individuals who will be waiting patiently to get into the world. We have created a new solution to help us identify and action against the bad faith AFK players. We will not disclose in detail of how this solution works, but we will say that we have every confidence that the players who are playing New World normally will not experience any issues. Initially, being caught by our detection solution will result in a quick kick to the main menu. If your behavior continues, more harsh penalties will be applied. This effort is going to be rolled out over a period of time, so results may not appear immediate. But this is something that we have dedicated to bringing online as quickly as we feel comfortable. Thank you for your support, and we'll see you in Eternum.
I don't know. I'm just tickled by that voice, so hopefully that wasn't too horrible. So now we got a little bit, we got a little post here kind of building off of this, and I'm going to read it as well. Different voice, so hopefully you guys enjoy, what's going on. And let's just dive into it. So, continuing the discussion from the AFK Detection update, I don't mind making such posts usually short after launch, since it has become an industry standard. The games come out with gigantic queues, lags, bugs, and crashes, ruining the experience for 70% of the player base. I always think it's funny when people like quote a percentage. I'm just gonna point that out. That is something that you will get an audible laugh out of me in a live stream and or in my comments. You won't hear the real live laughter that I have, but when people are like 99% of people think statistics on the internet are fake. Oh, awesome. Anyway, we'll continue. However, with the post above being by one of the admins, it's absolutely ridiculous. We have seen a lot of frustration around the individuals who may be artificially remaining active enough in servers to avoid the automatic AFK mitigation that is built into New World. Yes, obviously people are frustrated behind the people avoiding the AFK mitigation system while they sit in queues for hours. I do too every day, and I can't stop playing first thing in the morning as many people are working, but people can't. We certainly agree that this is not acceptable behavior, especially when there are droves of individuals who are willing and waiting patiently to get into the world. You know what would be not acceptable? Having 200k players on the same beta and still think that 2,000 player server capacity is going to work just fine. I see the same thing happening in the beta where a couple servers are super full with many hour-long queues, and then the rest is pretty much dead compared to the biggest ones. I'm looking at you, Hades. And still not provide free transfer from servers that significantly higher population than the rest are at launch. You delayed the game for a month, and some of us cheered you, expecting more improvements in a well-polished game that we got is the Diablo 3 launch. And when you blame the players, your 15-minute AFK mitigation system have kicked me when I went to take a short 20-minute break to smoke. I am not going to let your shortcomings affect my gameplay, and I will continue running into the corner like an idiot every time I want to go smoke a cigarette or two to avoid getting kicked and being put into the queue for another 4 hours. You may ask, why would I say this? Do I not think of other players? If you think of it that way, enjoy being in the queue. We all paid the money to play the game, but only a part of the player base can and do so at all times. This is not you don't pay my sub argument. This is a more don't hate the player, hate the game kind of thing. Amazon, stop blaming players and pretending that we are bad guys for avoiding your AFK mitigation system rather than spending time on implementing your punishment system
Why don't you fix the GD server capacities? And finally, after almost a week, introduce server transfers, which should have been both a day thing from day one. Oh, and by the way, good job not fixing a lot of the bugs that existed since beta, and we hope to have fixed thanks to the delay. Sincerely, a friend. Now, one of the
funny or interesting things the forums actually do is they allow you to kind of summarize. Like it says, give me the summary of essentially the responses. Now, I did that and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. So I'm viewing a summary of topics. So let's kind of dive into some of the replies, and then I'm going to share kind of my thoughts on this subject and on what is going on with the state of New World. I'll do this in a normal voice. Thanks for, if you stuck around for that. Thank you. Hopefully you appreciated the humor there. Yadis says, if you think we're only blaming players and not stating that they need to address the things, which they have actually tried to do, then you're just selectively picking this to bolster your point, which didn't need a new thread anyway. By the way, players who abuse AFKs are partly to blame for the queues. Literally, no one can see this fully blaming them, but actually the biggest cause for the queues is the popularity of the game above all considerations. Now, here's just kind of more me jumping into it. Since the beta, like one of the things I was like, the problem is, let's say we try to get on Eden, we couldn't get on Eden. We might go back whenever the free transfers are coming, and we do know free transfers are coming to this game. But let's say it all kind of shakes out, whatever that ends up looking like over the course of the next couple of weeks. Well, at its core, when you have a character on a populated server that's got a long queue, there's a natural fear of getting kicked out. I mean, heck, even if the power went out or the game crashed or there's something happened, you lost internet connection. Like there's many things that could impact that. And nobody wants to wait in line twice for the same experience. And that's where I look at the launch, especially with the queues. And as people get through the queues and are able to play the game and the servers being stable is the key thing. I see a lot of people wanting to lean and rush and like, let's make it 3,000, let's make it 4,000. And I think as the population spreads, like they do have a goal to grow the active player base on a particular server, but they want to do that in a way that's healthy, that preserves the stability of the game. You don't want to be finally getting in the game and having it crash. But AFK has this fear, obviously, because, hey, I finally got on. Oh my gosh, like I want to take a little break. You have every right. You're playing the game. You should be able to take a break without fear of like having to wait back another 4 hours. However, what ends up happening is because of that fear, people stay on, and it's kind of like that self-fulfilling prophecy. It only continues to keep people on the server, not even playing the game, so that when they have the ability to play the game, that they can play the game, which only incentivizes more people to do that, etc. So, like the feedback that I provided us, like one of the things that would really help alleviate this is that while you're in queue, if you could literally play the game, meaning if there was a mirrored server, or if you could say, hey, that server's got room. Can I guest my character over there? Maybe certain things are limited. Maybe you don't have access to like the markets. Yes, it's not going to be the fully featured experience, but imagine going and crafting and gathering. Imagine going and just kind of like farming up different things or running quests that you could experience on a no-pop server as a ghosted character, so that when you're positioned in queue, actually for your real server where your friends are and where your progression is, you could actually go and play. I think that's actually the solution that would have been great to have here, obviously on day one, because you can go and play. Yes, maybe your friends are on that and you're not able to go and actively play with them. I mean, that's more technology, more like kind of not phasing, but it's more like where it's like the world in and of itself doesn't necessarily matter. Guild Wars 2 does a fantastic job of this, letting people just play wherever their server is. But there was something about their server when it came to world PvP that was critically important. Accessibility and being able to just play when you want to play is a huge thing. And it'll be interesting to see where Amazon goes with this as my voice cracks, evolution over time. If you made it this far in this video, say voice crack, and that way I know you've made it to that. Now, Gallaret Quest here says, I agree. Exploiters always say these kind of nonsense to shift the blame when they are clearly exploiting. Players who do not exploit then feel like chumps. Like Elder Scrolls Online, if the dev lets the players exploit without penalty, then more and more legitimate players become exploiters, because why not? There's no penalty. Why be legitimate and feel stupid and devalue with the company, growing resentment against the company and not for taking action? ESO has exploiter culture after nurturing it for 7 years, and it won't happen here in New World. We already see various server exploits. Exploiters need to be booted out of the game. If not, permanent bans, then erase the tunes, and then they exploit with, in any case, no ban is quote unquote permanent. They could just make another email, sign up, and play again. I think especially when it comes to AFK and launch, like you don't want to sit here and like have too much of an authoritarian kind of experience. However, because of this kind of self-fulfilling prophecy, if you don't address it, I do agree. If you do not address it, if you're just like, welp, you know, like you want to get more people playing the game because like here in another week and in another week, like ultimately if the story of New World is there were really high pop servers and they were popular and there were really like all these empty servers, like you don't want to have that kind of balance. Still, I think technology definitely needs to be evaluated because this technology can help kind of curb player behavior. And I don't necessarily read Amazon's words as overly aggressive, but as a general statement, so that one of the reasons why I'm making this video, outside the humor and the discussion of some of these points, like literally it's important that you guys know that they're looking at this and there could be consequences that come down the line. I don't think those consequences are permanent. You don't want to sit here and be like, we're so popular, we're just banning everybody forever. But you do need to have that kind of pressure on people, because essentially what happens, right? Because I'm not exploiting it. I've been so busy working on some projects that are going to be going live on the 13th here, that I just haven't had all this time in the world to play, unfortunately. So you guys, if you're a part of the Discord company, you know that's happening. I can hear my kids playing in the other room. What would then incentivize me to not start to exploit? Whenever like, oh, I know I'm going to get on tonight, I better start AFKing right now at 12 in the afternoon. During my lunch break, I better start doing this right now if I want to have a chance to play tonight. The more that they put in place and kind of try to like stamp that down as a player, that actually helps me dive into it. That helps me say, well, I better not, right? So then you don't end up converting people who they would consider themselves legitimate versus exploiters. Now, I don't think this is more like this is so much a versus. This is just built off of fear, because ultimately, like the goal is that you want to play. And if you're like, I only have so much time to play, you want to have that preserved, right? Like, so like as a person who can play games a couple nights a week, I don't want to spend that time at queue. So then you start making plans. Now, being that people are all AFKing and I can't get on my server, like nobody's winning in that situation. And so then this helps de-incentivize it becoming this global problem. And then when they go in and crack down, all of a sudden everybody's like, I got banned for a day because I thought that's what we had to do. The information didn't get into my feed. What do I do now? And then Lemondrop says they aren't blaming players. They already put things in place for the unexpected numbers, new servers transfers coming, and server locks for full servers. So we'll update you guys when we get server transfer information for you. That's going to be an interesting thing at the end of the day. It's always going to have been a thing, but I'm just kind of curious to see how it's handled, how communities shuffle around, etc., and then what's that process look like. The AFK detection is a result of the massive number of players that have never logged out, and then there's a ton of people waiting to get in. I'm sorry that this is a dick move on players. You're going to bed, log out. Going to eat, it might be taking an hour to run in place AFK, but don't care about that. It's really the jackasses that are doing it for like 8 hours while they're at work or sleeping, and that really makes long queues long because no one really logs out. There has to be a change. They could just increase server size. They would have. Clearly, they can't. I think again the server size increase is something that has got to be rolled out within respect to everything going on, right? You increase the amount of people playing, that changes spawn rates, right? You need to make sure that there's animals and wildlife and monsters to kill. If you end up making it too big and then don't adjust all the other things, because people think, oh, just let more people in the club. Oh, did you order enough food and drinks, and do you have enough space for them to stand in all at once and do all these things, world bosses and more, and so there's all these little factors that it's absolutely the plan there. We don't know that roadmap, and we're gonna have to wait and see what that roadmap looks like, and obviously I'll share it with you guys when that comes to pass. So that's going to be it kind of for this video. Hopefully I've made my points clear. If you're not going to play, you got to log out. I wish they had that system in place to allow you to progress on another server while you waited in queue, because then you're at least playing the game. And that would, I think, help mitigate a lot of fear of not being able to play. Because I don't want to go make a character on a low pop server, because I want to play with my friends where my friends are, where my character progression is. At a minimum, if I can't play with my friends, I still want to make some kind of progress towards a level, towards a skill, towards just inventory, so I can craft up stuff and of putting it up in the market, hopefully make some money, etc. So and that's the rough kind of take on my thoughts. Again, like I said, I lived in New York. If you made it all the way to this video, you are a legend and awesome. And yeah, like you unlock the title of the Epic of Baltimore. That's your new title. You could, it's going to be confusing as hell, but sound off in the comments below and rep it with pride. And I look forward to seeing that. Guys, that's been it for this discussion video. Hopefully you enjoyed. Like, favorite, subscribe, and share if you haven't yet already. If you do, and this is a video that earns it, let me know so I can officially welcome you to the channel. That's it, guys. Love you faces. Hope to see you in my next video. But until then, take care.
A little off topic, but I just want to say thank you for providing me a friendly, fun, and optimistic community. Baby. Coming from an MMO community filled with toxicity, this is an amazing breath of fresh air. Keep it up, baby. Oh, yeah.